All right, it's SPP time, and here we are, rocking and rolling. I think this is two. We have one more live SPP before the actual summit. Is that right, everybody? Of course, Dave's probably tweeting the link, and Sean's emailing somebody. So I'm just sort of killing time by myself. And this is the first SPP back since live.
Jeez, Johnny, you're so intense.
I know. I always wonder if the people who listen on the audio just get annoyed when I give things that are indexed like to the live show, and like, well, I don't give a shit about what you're doing with the live show. So anyway, there you go. So here we are. Johnny, Sean, and Dave, the dream team back together again. It's been 2 weeks, and Sean was gone, and Dave and I did a worst show ever last week without him, which Sean hasn't listened to yet.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear it.
Well, there was some discussion on whether we should do that, and I argued that we should do it because Dave and I need to get past the discomfort. We need to push on, and honestly, I mean, true to form, like love. And true to form, like I notice you can't look at me anymore, which is good.
I never could, to be honest.
Is it like a first date? Like you couldn't find the hole?
Well, Dave is back on. We're back to, for anybody who doesn't watch the video, which is most of you. Dave isn't looking at us anymore. He's got the side thing where the camera is shooting from the side.
Cool.
And he's watching.
We can't see up his nose hairs, which is kind of awesome.
Look
how comfortable he is now. He's gonna think about that the whole episode.
I was explaining that I moved my computer on top of a stand, but then the camera is too high, so I had to put the camera off to the side. I need something that'll basically put the camera smack dab right in the middle of the monitor that I'm looking at. But I can't quite.
Why don't you just put it on top like everybody else who's
it
ever
was
done
on top, but now that it's on top, it's looking down at me because I have my monitor
Don't question
higher.
his complicated machinations,
You
Johnny.
don't think I thought this through?
No, I think you thought it through probably about 10 times more than anybody else.
When I have the camera up too high, then it's looking down on me, and it looks like a weird shot. So this looks a little bit better.
Where's the grandma muff?
I have it over here.
Oh no, put that away.
Oh, it's much smaller than I thought.
Yeah, it looks like a tribble, actually.
It does. It does look like a tribble.
Oh, that's just wrong. Put that
Al
away.
Sharp didn't do.
No, that's wrong. So
what is the? Well, no, wait. What is the topic again today? Our why don't you introduce it since you actually know him, Sean?
Well, JB's a friend of mine, and he's a really cool guy. JB Glossinger is his name.
Sounds like a gun.
Yeah, it does. He's the wake up morning coach. He has a pretty big podcast.
So sorry, just really quickly, Anita says episode 203 again. I guess that means this should be 204. Is that correct?
I think so.
Go ahead and change that because usually on the ball. But go ahead with JB.
Yeah, we were talking about what his topics could be. He's got a great tribe. So we had loosely talked about tribe building, but we actually have a funny story of something that happened earlier today. But I'll wait until he's on to tell that story. But basically, the punchline at the end of this text exchange was, "Wow, building my business one fuck up at a time." And I said that could be our topic.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, so our topic could be building a business one fuck up at a time, and JB can definitely talk to that. But he's just he's someone you can't pigeonhole him and say he does this one thing. He has a traditional book deal coming out with Hay House. I think the book is coming out in May, but I think there are better things to talk to JB about than his traditional book deal. But I like building a business one fuck up at a time.
You don't need traditional book deals on this show. Like, this is the self-publishing podcast.
Right. Totally.
Yeah, man.
So who's got usually Sean goes first with the something cools, and I'm actually I think I might know what Sean's going to do for something cool, but why don't you go ahead? Why don't you go first?
Well, I want to know what you think I'm going to do.
Well, I think that it's going to be the reason that we didn't have a live show last week.
Oh, I could do that, but I was doing something that everybody could enjoy rather than something pulled from my life.
So, but masturbation as it relates to that's where you go. No,
I was actually going to do Bloodline because I've been watching that show, and
No, it's not nearly as enjoyable.
Well, okay. I went on a Disney cruise, and that was pretty awesome. I think that's what Johnny thought I was going to do. So that's why we didn't have a show last week. I took my first ever vacation. Thinking. Yeah, this is the first vacation I've ever actually taken. So even when I got married, it was a 3-day weekend, and that was it. And then I was back to work on day 4. And, I grew up in the flower business, which is a lot like the restaurant
I'm trying
business.
to imagine the discussion between Sean and Cindy about getting married. Okay, well, I can fit you in if I book an extra day here. Does that work for you?
It was a little like that. It was wedding season, right? And I had the flower shop. So like every weekend I was doing other people's weddings, but we were fully booked. So it was difficult to slip away, and we needed to do it. She was teaching at the time, so we needed to do it before the school came back and she could, go back as Mrs. Platt instead of her maiden name. And but it was great, but I didn't take a lot of vacations, and the vacations that we've taken in the last few years have either been work related or just jam packed with family obligations, like this, trip to California this summer. So this was literally the first time in my entire life, because growing up, my family didn't take vacations. We had the flower shop. So this is the first time I was ever away for 5 days on a vacation. I didn't take my laptop. I didn't have internet. I was totally unplugged, and it was awesome. And the Disney cruise is really great because the children are.
Yeah, so hold on. Can I object one thing before you go off on the actual cruise? So
yeah, go ahead.
I think it was the day after you left, like the day after you actually were gone. Our Slack, the one that Sean, Dave, and I share, Sean goes, "This cruise ship is amazing." And then I said, "What the fuck are you doing on the internet? What's the matter with you?"
Well, because we were,
and then
still
we
in
didn't,
harbor.
we didn't hear from him. So it was great. It was kind of like he got chastised.
It was Miami. I wasn't actually on the cruise yet. I was just on the boat, and I was sharing my awe with my friends. Like that's legit.
Your friends? Is there somebody else on the Slack?
Yes. So it was really great. Like their customer service is amazing. They have 1,000 crew members, so there's always someone there, ready to wait on your hand and foot.
And people all dressed up and stuff.
Yeah, they do. But but my kids aren't interested in that at all.
No, I know they're not.
But everything's like it's really nice, and there's like a teen club for each of them where they could go play video games. And Ethan got to play sports up deck, play basketball he wanted, and Haley got to just whatever she wanted to do, and it was really cool.
You don't know what she did. You know what Ethan did. Well, you don't know what Haley did.
Well, because I know
teen girls do. I don't know.
Well, she talked a lot and she drew a lot. And
it's a talking club. Girls hanging out just talking.
Kinda, yeah. Ethan was Haley had the choice of being the oldest one in the group that Ethan was in, or the youngest one in the next group up, and she went to be the youngest one in the 14 to 17-year-olds. So she did that, and it was just really cool because the children got their vacation, but Cindy and I had our vacation too. So it was a family
away
vacation.
From the children.
A little bit. So
it was. There were a vacation where like nobody was. You can have a vacation from everyone. Like they could just keep everybody busy.
I actually want to talk about this on Worst Show Ever, but I kid you not, my entire trip, I was seeing the world through your eyes, and I just felt so sad for you.
We call those Dave colored glasses.
Jake Ballard just wrote, would probably be a classic Worst Show Ever if Dave went on a cruise.
Oh, it would. Everything that I was looking around and thinking, this is so awesome. I could just imagine Dave's interpretation. Yeah, it was just amazing.
I don't care if there's like $100,000 book advance on the line. I'm not ever going on a cruise.
Wow,
most people, me included, look at that as like, when can I do a cruise or go on another cruise? Oh my God, I would never go on a cruise.
Right, Dave's acting like it's a slave ship or something.
It kind of is. Being trapped with that many people on a boat, just I could not handle it.
There's so much space.
We should save this for the next.
Yes, this is a good conversation. But basically, and my other something cool is Bloodline. Watch it. It's very, very finely crafted, and the actors are really great. It's on Netflix. It's the actors are super great, and the reveal of information is perfect. And I've never seen a better use of like exposition through body language in my life. Like just the way the characters move tell you a lot of their story, and it's just a very well done show.
Clearly, you're not paying attention to the bottom third of this screen for body language. I mean, I give a master class every week.
Yes. Well, you do. I know officially that you hate the world.
Buddy Gott says a new version of The Love Boat starring the David Wright as a cruise director. If it was my boat, it would be the Hate Boat.
The Hate Boat. Mine is just sort of, and I know that this is a writing show, and this is either going to seem like, why are you bothering to mention this because it's so obvious? I mean, I'm hoping that isn't the way it is, or whatever. But basically, mine is the magic of revision, and here's the way that I'm gonna give this is. So Sean and I wrote a project it was like 4 months ago now, called Devil May Care, which we've talked about a few times. And as we've also mentioned a few times, the stated goal between the two of us was to write a book that we personally felt was better than Axis of Aaron, which was our previous quote, our literary book for the year before. And so we didn't really care about, there were no sales goals. There were, none of that. It was just, we wanted to be artistically fulfilled. And so Sean was very, very eager about this as I was writing the draft and kept saying, so do you feel it's better than Axis yet? Is it better than Axis? Are you excited? Are you excited about how it's better than Axis? Yeah. And so, but I am I'm feeling the pressure of needing it to be better than Axis. And I wanted it to be better than Axis myself. And I just, for the most of the book, I was just like, okay, I don't know, maybe. And it was really, it was a hard book for me to write. And I just remember just having a lot of kind of doubt about the book. We had a lot of story meetings. There's some kind of tricky stuff in it that had to fit together just right. And so I was just generally, I don't know, I felt like I was losing the thread of this book, and I thought it was a mess. And we went through our typical rounds of revision and just changed some stuff. And I'm reading it now. And I just have to say, I feel like this is the best book that, without question, that Sean and I have written together. It's not even close. It's not even close. Without question, it's just the best thing. I'm just so proud of this book. And that came from
it's really refined. It's very polished. It feels great to read. It's a good experience. But
the contrast between where I was feeling on this book when I was writing it, especially certain parts of it, and where it is now is just the largest I've ever had. Usually I feel that a book gets better during revision, of course, but not like this. It's just such a huge gulf. So if you have books where you just aren't sure, and again, I know that this may feel like an obvious thing, but oh my God, that's been really cool for me to realize what you're just, it's not in stone, it's in clay until you're finished, and you can always keep twisting and turning. And I'm just so pleased with how that worked in this particular project. So that's mine.
Yeah, nothing.
Go ahead, Dave.
Sean, I got nothing.
No, Dave, something cool is going to be that he had a week break from me. That was his something cool.
And Dave didn't go on a cruise. That's also something cool.
That is my something cool. I didn't have to go on a cruise.
I love how you guys are heads and tails on the exact same issue. And actually what's fun, so I mentioned this I think it was privately or maybe on a possible thing that we just did. But Sean said, we didn't have a meeting scheduled, and Sean was like, can we just hop on a call? Because I want to talk to you about the cruise before I talk to Dave about the cruise.
This should all be on the next show.
All right.
Well, no, it's true. I just couldn't stand the idea of being all enthusiastic about the cruise and talking to Dave and having him be like, yeah. Just zero affect. There's no, because sometimes you just need a volley. You need somebody else to say, oh, that sounds awesome. I would want to do that too. But sometimes
I'm not your hype guy. All right.
No.
Dave's the hype man. Dave's the Flava Flav of this group.
Sean called me before the cruise, and we were talking about something. Oh, we were talking about I forget what it was about, and I introduced some fear into it before the cruise even started. Somebody might break in your house. I don't know what I said, but whatever it was, he's like, thanks.
Yeah, no, there wasn't one thing. There was a string of them,
and it wasn't even intentional.
And the best I can get from Dave, the most This is Dave being optimistic and like, congratulations, you're going on a cruise. At least there are no icebergs in the Caribbean.
Oh, that's what I said. And that was a joke. Obviously, there are none, unless global warming sent them down.
No,
and
that wasn't the one. Off. There were some very specific. What if this happens?
Well, let's save this for worst show ever. Okay. Let's save this for worst show ever. But I mean, I know that Dave introduced some fear to Sean, but privately, Dave also introduced some fear to me while Sean was gone, and he said, "What if we can't get a book cover design done by a body that has zillions of designers and that minimizes risk, practically neglects risk entirely?"
And thank God, really, thank God, or whoever your personal deity of choice is, that we don't have to deal with that fear, because we have 99designs.com/SPP. We've talked about them every week for what? How long has it been now? For years? And yet Johnny still
like
doesn't
a week,
remember.
I think, right? New to me.
There's a reason we talk about them, and it's not just because they pay us.
Can you explain it to me, though? I know
cover.
that you're claiming that you've mentioned them before, but can you explain them in a way that is succinct and several minutes long and would serve as ad copy?
I might be able to. Basically, if you want a book cover, or if you want web work done, like design stuff for your website, and pretty much any design need you have, the folks at 99 Designs have you covered. You want a book that looks like a best-selling book. You don't want a book that looks like, you just threw it together in MS Paint, because good God, why put all that work into your book, all your blood, sweat, and tears into this thing that you took, months or years to write, and then just put a crappy afterthought of a book cover on it? You don't want that. You want a great book cover. You want a book cover that looks like the other best-selling books in the stores. And that's where you go. You tell them what your book is about. You tell the designers what your book is about. You start with a contest, and a bunch of designers compete to give you that cover. And it's awesome. And we've never had a situation where we didn't have a cover, or we had several covers to choose from. I mean, it's just like a bounty of beautiful covers to choose from, and you can't go wrong, really. You got nothing to lose. Ask Kirsty Moss. She's in our comments. She had before book covers that were okay, but she went next level when she got a 99 Designs cover, and it's a beautiful damn cover.
Yeah, her covers are beautiful.
All right. Well, I will say that 99 designs of the time, which translates according to my scale, 99% of the time, the link that I would tell you to go to is 99designs.com/SPP. However, as somebody pointed out, that link is currently not working.
What?
So I don't know what that's about. I just tried it. So if anybody could let them know that our link is not working.
Maybe they're finally done with this.
They're finally done with this, and this is how they're telling us. So 99 Designs, for those of you who aren't live, this will be fixed, of course.
Oh, wow.
By then.
Doesn't work. I just went there too.
But 99designs.com.
It'll be fixed
SPP,
by the time
for those of the rest of you.
Yeah,
it'll be fixed. And
I'll get on that email right now.
There you go.
Dave will get on
one
too many Nazi references.
There you go. So Dave, take care of that, and I'm gonna invite JB. Actually, I'm not going to invite JB. I'm going to accept JB, who was calling in. Blab in the house. I see you joining, but it's not there yet. But he's kind of joining. He's kind of joining.
Very cosmic. Yeah,
I know it is. I got a hypnotic effect going.
I'm in. Oh, here we go. JB!
I have no idea which microphone I have on. I don't know if this one's working, that one. I don't know. I got the arm break.
It's working.
You sound good.
Okay, cool.
Did you get a haircut?
I did. I actually shaved the do a little bit.
Wow, I noticed. Looks good.
It's the summer feel.
I like it. So, and Dave disappeared.
Dave
Awesome.
disappeared. But I'll say nice to meet you, JB.
Hey, it's nice to meet you too, brother. Finally. It's awesome.
Dave would say it's nice to meet you, but he's probably suspicious of you anyway. And so it's good that he's not here. But JB's a friend of mine. JB's a really smart guy, and I don't even quite know how to introduce him because he does a little of everything. He's got the Morning Coach, which he's been podcasting. We talk about self-publishing years, like 1 = 10. He's been podcasting since the dinosaurs in podcasting years.
Before
right? When did you start?
Podcasting.
Like 2006. 2006 or something.
2006 actually. Yeah, back in the day, like way back when. It was a long time ago.
See, we think we're early because we've been doing it for 4 years, but JB's been doing it for what, like 3 times as long. So awesome there.
Yeah.
But you're like a PhD in metaphysics and business, or like what is it?
I have no idea. Just a lot of education, that really didn't do anything for me, but it was actually fun getting the degrees, but didn't do
right. So JB has all these degrees, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think his day consists of waking up, doing his show, getting baked, and then playing golf.
Yes, yes, it's kind of the order actually. That's why I got this on, because I've been playing so much. I got my elbows all banged up, so today I had to take the day off. Well, I was actually in Atlanta yesterday, spoke at a conference, and came in. But yeah, every day golf, and I tell my wife, she laughs because I'm like, I can only work an hour a day because that's my business model, so I have to live that.
So yeah, I don't even remember what it was, but there was something that Johnny asked. You think JB would be down for that? I think it was coming on the show, but a couple weeks ago. But it was like
zero notice.
It was zero notice. And I said, I can guarantee you I'm going to email him and he's going to be, sorry, dude, I'm playing golf today.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I emailed him and he's sorry, dude, I'm playing golf today. So yeah, that didn't happen. But yeah, let me back up a second and tell this story, because JB emails me earlier today and he says, so I just landed in Atlanta and are we still on for 3:00 today? And I'm like, what the fuck? I totally forgot that he was the guest today. And I thought he was here like a couple weeks early for the summit. And I didn't know what to do. I'm like, dude, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think you got your days wrong.
Yeah, because to clarify, JB is coming to the Smarter Artist Summit.
And so he laughed. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I totally get what you're saying, but no, aren't? Did I have an interview today?" And then I'm thinking, "Oh, it's for 8 questions." And of course, I didn't write it down. And we had CJ for something else today.
Whose day consists of waking up and getting baked?
Right. Well, no, he says I'm not that stoned. And so basically. There were a lot of back and forth, a lot of LOLs, and JB said, "Oh, it's okay, I'm used to it. Building my business one fuck up at a time." And I loved that. I thought that was a really great title for today's show, because that's kind of what we do. Like, we really celebrate our missteps as much as our successes. And I know that JB really believes in that model. That speaking gig I did in Florida in November of last year, something like that. Yeah. That was JB's. So he put on an event. He's got a great tribe, really loyal. That was another thing we thought about talking about, was tribe building. But JB's got a very loyal, devoted tribe. And I spoke to his audience and then stayed for a day in his mastermind, and just a smart guy, attracts really good people. And so,
high five to my son, who not only comes in when I'm podcasting, but makes no effort to be quiet when we're closing the door.
High five.
All right.
High five. Love it. But it's
awesome.
I
like the idea of one business, one fuck up at a time.
Well, I've done it. That's been my total model. I mean, it's been, just fuck it up, learn, fuck up, learn, fuck up, learn. And that's really been the process of, and I still do it every day. It's like, oh boy, we fucked that up again. We fucked that up again, and it's, the reality is, as long as and I think actually fucking up helps you, because if you build your business around people that know you fuck up, then they don't expect perfection from you, so it's great. So if you fuck up, it's like, oh, okay, JB just fucked up again. Okay, that's okay. He fucks up all the time. And so it's a great business model, actually.
Right. And that's kind of our ethos too, right? We surround ourselves by people. It's authentic. We don't put on airs. We don't ever try to be someone that we're not. We're clearly not very buttoned up, but that's great. And we do make a lot of mistakes, but we tend not to repeat mistakes. I think that's it. It's not, you can't just wave the mistake flag and say, hey, it's awesome to make all these mistakes and, keep messing up. It's that you want to make mistakes and then learn from them and make a different mistake. Right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's 100%. I mean, we laugh about it because it is. It's a lot of mess ups, a lot of screw ups. But the truth is, you learn every step of the way. And I think if you can get all of that out of the way as fast as possible, that's the real secret of business. Is fuck up a bunch, so that you can get it done quick. Because most people don't take action. And that's what happens is it takes forever, and they finally fail. They don't allow themselves to be a beginner. They're trying to be perfect, and they just never get to that point where they fuck up a couple times. So you got to really get out there, be a beginner.
Everybody laugh. Make they feel like you missed something. Oh, that's awesome. So, JP, have you read the book Making? I think it's called Making It Stick or Make It Stick.
Yeah, is it like the duct tape marketing thing? Was that it?
No, that's Made to Stick.
Okay, so there's so many titles.
Yeah, I see the confusion there. No, but Making It or Make It Stick is all about. I just got the book for my daughter because I want her to read it because it talks about how you learn and how we as a culture go about learning all wrong. We think it's about repetition. And, if we're going to, like, let's say we need to study for a test, right? Then we'll read the same information over and over and over and over. And we figure that the more we read it, the more we're learning, the more we're retaining it, and that we're going to do well on the test. But that actually doesn't serve us at all, because all we're doing is filling our brain with short-term stuff that will therefore, it allow us to pass this test. But that the real learning takes place when you're making a lot of mistakes. And so if, let's say there's a 10-page thing that you need to read and you're going to be tested on, it would make a lot more sense. A lot of people will read that 10 pages 3 times in a row. So now I got this, right? But then they'll take the test and they don't really have it. They have those 10 pages, but they don't actually understand the underlying scaffolding of that information, so that when they take the test, it's out of context and they'll fail. That it's way better to go and read a couple pages and then just test yourself, quiz yourself. Yeah. And even if you get, 4 out of 10 questions wrong, you're still going to do better on the test the next day than the guy who read it 3 times in a row.
It makes total sense. I mean, like, we're doing Facebook ads. Everybody that's kind of doing, trying to grow the business that way. And you can read a book on Facebook ads. But if you don't do it, you never learn it. It's like I read I read the book and then I sit down, but you gotta apply it. You gotta screw it up. That's the only way you learn. So, I think in all of business and really in life, you just got to get out and do things, and that's what's gonna lead you to success.
Well, it's true too with writers. I think writers, as a breed, we tend to look for formulas or solutions. Like, this is the best way to outline. This is the best way to get through your draft, right? But really, the best way is to write a lot and to, learn from each project and figure out what's working and what's not, and pay attention to other characters. And it's doing the work. I think a lot of people will, put off, I'm going to wait for the right tool to outline my story instead of just outlining your story now, because, we build in the excuses and it's silly.
It is. It's really silly. Oh, I got to have Scrivener set up and I got to have the thing so it goes black. I'm like that. I got to have my screen black. I got to have my green font. I got to have everything set up perfect because I got to have the muse come out,
But you also kind of fill your brain with the same stuff over and over, right? Like I think I remember you telling me that you run every day and always listen to Stephen King's On Writing.
Yeah, I do. I listen to Stephen King on Writing at least once a month. At least once a month. Not every day, but every month I listen to it. Because, you're learning to write from Stephen King. I just think it's, how can you get that teaching anywhere else? And so I listen to that once a month. And it just keeps my head centered. And so I run and every month at least once I listen to it.
Do you feel like you pick up new things each time?
Man, I don't know. I think it's just, it motivates me. It's like, man, get off your ass and get to work. And that's what I need once in a while, because I'm going to golf and it's like, no, you need to write some. So that Stephen King, it just, I don't know. I think that's a real good book on writing, and it helps me who, share similar things. I got D's in grammar. I can't wait to give the big FU to my grammar teacher, because I just, I'm just not a grammar guy, but that's not what writing's about. And so listen to Stephen King. Yes, he does go over grammar and you can learn grammar and he talks about that, but just getting that foundation as a writer helps to get that mentorship from somebody telling you that all the time. And that's what Stephen King does for me.
At least,
but you also didn't stop when you said I'm bad at grammar, so I'm not going to fuck up.
And at least you're hearing
back into the theme, right?
You're hearing the message, get off your ass, while you're actually out running rather than being on your ass, like eating chocolate or something like some people here.
But I like my chocolate too. So.
Oh, okay.
But you're moving enough to burn it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I've always been active, and I just, I got that energy. I think it's important, so I try to stay as active as possible. Plus, for the golf and everything else, stay as active as possible is part of my lifestyle. So I think we all have different lifestyles. Some people like video games and to chill, and for me, it's being as active as possible. It gives me the energy to do what I need to do, which is motivate people. I got thousands of people around the world listen every day, so I have to be up, and that's hard. I'm a motivational speaker, right? So it's like, I let people into my dark side too, but if I let the dark side too much, people won't look to me to help them keep their day going. So, it sounds kind of cliche or weird, but it's a lot of work to be the positive guy.
Oh, no, I
know it.
That makes total sense. I mean, this topic is important I think that it's important to talk about your mistakes because it humanizes you. Nobody wants to follow somebody who's perfect. But
Even
also I think that
like
this
Johnny.
topic, based on what we've heard, JB is outstripping me and all the things you think I'm crazy about. So there you go. But I think it's important on a show like this because there are people who you're seeing the refined version of most of what Sterling and Stone does. You see Right Publish Repeat. We talked about some of our mistakes, but it's not like we said, okay, here's what we screwed up and we screwed up. And it's like that quote about how overnight success, I don't know what the quote is, but the point is it doesn't happen overnight. It's the accumulation of many, many small fuck ups, and then something goes and everybody says, look what happened.
The only overnight success is like, what was that guy's name from Target? Do you remember the story last year?
Dave knows. He's from
Cat
Target.
Williams?
No, it was some guy that they took a picture of him while he was bagging groceries at Target. He was some 18-year-old kid.
Oh, because he was good looking. That's why.
Yeah, and it went totally viral.
That's
and then
the
he's
only
on
kind of
Ellen
overnight
2 days later.
success there is,
Right,
being good looking.
But what's that guy doing now? He had it's so fleeting. You can have overnight success.
I don't know. He might have
done
done a book deal out of it. Who knows?
But he didn't. Right? It's just not sustainable. It's the overnight success that looks like overnight success to the outside world. I mean, look, anybody listening to this right now, you probably known us for a while. You've heard us on the show. We're spending our time every week paying our dues, and how hard we work and how much we produce. There will come a time when we sell a show or something really, really big happens to us that's bigger than anything that's happened before. And to the outside world, people who are not listening to the show right now, it will look like overnight success, right? Like, oh, these guys just came out of nowhere.
Who the hell are these guys?
They have a TV
They don't
series
deserve
or
that.
a movie or whatever. But it's so far. I mean, we've been doing the show for 4 years. We've been producing millions of words in that time and making a lot of mistakes, building our business one fuck up at a time.
It is hilarious. And I think it's important to, I mean, there's a posturing issue that you have to do as a leader, which people look for you for inspiration. So they have to see you be, like Matt Kramer, my buddy, the singer of Saigon Kick, and Sean, you met him, who always yells at me about carrying gear out because he calls me Bruce Springsteen. He's like,
I knew Saigon Kick.
So do I. That's pretty cool.
He's my best. But he always yells at me. He's like, JB, people can't see you carrying gear out. You're the rock star of this thing at my event, And I'm like, no, but that's me. But there's some validity to that because we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. But at the same time, people have to know the truth of how hard it is. And I don't want to say hard because I talked to Wayne Dyer one day and I was on the phone with Wayne, and Wayne said, I was telling him, man, this personal development's hard. It's tough, and it's really hard. Here I am golfing now every day. And he said, and the phone went quiet, and I'm like, did I just piss off Wayne Dyer? Rest in peace, Wayne, by the way. But I'm like, did I just piss him off? And the phone was quiet and he goes, JB, it's never been hard for me. And I had to think about that. So the truth is, yes, I've busted my ass, but this is what I've dreamed to do all my life. So it hasn't been hard. It's just been a lot of work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So,
JB, what is your ratio of six? So if you take a big success you've had, how many, what's the ratio of that to failed enterprises? Because we've had many things that we're like, this is going to be great, and we go and then nothing, and we don't necessarily talk about that. So I'm always curious.
Yeah, it happens every day. I'd say 90% of the things I do, I bank in my head, and I call it banking in my head. I'm excited. We're going to get 10,000 of these people are going to buy this thing. And it's like, we're all set. We're just going to run Facebook ads to this funnel, and they're going to come in and they're going to upsell to this. And then it's going to do this and this and this. And I honestly would say 90% of the stuff we do fails. I would say 90%, but that 10% is awesome. And it's what really makes us. And I think that's what, with VCs, like venture capitalists, isn't it like 7 out of 10 that the number is like 7 out of 10 business ventures fail? So
I think it's higher than that.
Is it maybe they're just trying to hit on the 10, 20%? That's what I'm looking at, is to make that 10, 20% hit. What I find myself, and I think a lot of people do this, is I'm not very patient. So a lot of times I don't give stuff enough time, but that's just my personality, you know? But I would say it's upwards to 90%. I bank in my head. I go to bed. I have see the numbers. I see everything happening, and then it just fizzles out. I'm like, ah. And in fact,
how do you knock it down? Like if you're, you know, if you only hit the ball, you know, 1 out of 10 times that you went up to bat, like that would suck. You'd be a shitty hitter, right?
Yeah. When I lost my house, and I'm looking at my wife, and I had $40,000 worth of books in my house, and we had sold 3. And, you know, every time I came home, I felt like such a loser because I went to that vanity press and I gave the guy $40,000 of my money that I didn't have, you know. It sucked. I mean, it was really, really bad. And, you know, I every time I went home, I'd look at those books and I'd say, I'm such a loser, you know, and I don't know how I got up. I honestly don't. There were days I didn't get up. I'll be honest. You know, I'm a motivated guy with energy and stuff. And there are days I just wanted to pack it in. But I just kept learning. I figured out how to build websites as a 2-finger typist at that time. I figured out how to, you know, get some stuff working on the web. And then all of a sudden it was crazy. People started listening to me and liking me. And I just kept getting up. And then 2007, we started the podcast. It started growing. We put 12,000 people in a site. You know, I beat Oprah and Ellen on iTunes. It was unbelievable, but I was still broke. I still wasn't making any money, you know? And so between 2007 and 2009, I was dying, you know, it was horrible. And then my dog died, my German Shepherd, who I loved to death. And I flew to Colombia, came back and said, I'm charging. And one day overnight, I said, hey guys, we're going to $20 a month. Now it's $30 a month, but I said $20 a month. And we had 1,200 people out of 12,000 stay with me. So it was just this constant battle of failure. And then it worked. One day I woke up and it was working.
So can I point something out? Because this is interesting. This is a trivia, and then I'll hand it off. But after JB said you lost your house, Sean lost a house, and I had a bankruptcy. So I don't know if Dave's had anything, but I think that's pretty telling. That 75% of the successful people on this hangout right now have had a major thing.
So I have a question, because I've seen a lot of like success coaches, gurus and stuff, and a lot of them are big fucking phonies in my opinion.
I agree.
So like when you're at your lowest point, how do you like all these things are failing around you? How do you inspire somebody else? How do you gain their confidence enough to say, hey, you know, right now things are not working for me right now, but if you do this and do this, this will work for you? How do you do that when at the moment you are not actually proof in the pudding, so to speak?
You know, Dave, I've had to work to be the proof in the pudding. I mean, back in the day, it was kind of fake. I wasn't real, right? I was losing my house. I was down financially. But the one thing I could guarantee people was good energy. And that's what I used to say. Look, right now things aren't going that great, but I'll give you energy every day. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to go out there and make it happen. So that's what I did always give, was positive energy. But now what's happened is so many people have had results from what I teach and what I do that I live off of I borrow their belief. You know, so I've had people get through cancer that have been with me. I mean, I have a Joanne Jefferson over in New York, who I just love, who, you know, I interviewed her one day and she's like, JB, you're with me every morning. And I didn't tell you this, but I had cancer. So when I was doing chemo, I was with you, you know, and it was just like, I was like almost crying, you know? So I borrowed their belief now, but back in the day when I was just getting started, I just had to kind of believe, you know, and fight through it and then be transparent and honest. So that I would say, look, you know, things aren't going great right now, but all I can do is give you my best energy. And that's what
I'm sorry. The reason I'm laughing is because Rachel Duncan just said in the comments, my dog is barking at whoever's dog that is.
Yeah. That's Neo out in the back here. Let me shut my door, actually, so I can cut that off. I'll be right back.
Just imagine the dueling dogs.
So you know Saigon Kick too, Johnny?
Yeah, from my
punk
rock.
I'm back. Yeah, I got a 1.5-year-old lab that's just a monster.
Yeah. So one thing that you said that it was just fast and I think pretty glossed over, but it's worth exploration, is that you had this big audience, and then you said, okay, I want to move to this paid model. And, you know, you lost a lot of that audience. Only some stayed with you, but those are your core audience. Those are people that kind of like funded this next part of your business, right? So that takes some courage, and we've all been there. Like we did, blogging thing where you can have this really big blog audience, but if they're not actually paying in any way for your time or your energy that you're putting into it, it could be like definitely a sunk enterprise. So how do you have the courage to say goodbye to a lot of your audience?
I did it. I mean, I was back in the day, like I wanted to love everybody. I thought, oh, this is going to be so easy. It's going to be great. We put 12,000 people on a website. They're all going to convert. They love me. It's awesome. We love them, and then it was just shattered because like the reviews are still on iTunes. Like, you're an asshole. Can't believe you listened for 2 years. You jerk. I can't believe you want money from me. And it really hardened me. I got tough because I was like, man, fuck you. I worked my ass off. I have no money. I lost my house. I've been doing this every day, and I went from this flowery, artsy, joy guy to like, hey, I'm going to go with the people that I'm with. And it's so much so I really realized that like 60% of the people in the world just don't get it. Like they don't get it. And so many people are trying to please those people that it's like insane. You'll go insane if you try to please those people. So what I learned was the 1,200 that went with me, I loved them. And the others, I had it, even though it crushed me, I mean, I was devastated. I mean, it hurt, but you know what? They allowed me to break free and I had to forget about those people. So I still do it today. I mean, we all have critics, every one of us. And I've learned that I just came to this conclusion that 60% of the people have no fucking clue. They never will. So I don't want to deal with them. I want them out of my life. I'll build my business around the 38% of the people that get it. And then there's 2% that really get it. They're the real cool people. And that's who I really want to be around. But 60% of them, they're wearing the thong at Walmart and walking around and they're not my people.
Dave, what percentage do you feel that is? Is that 60?
Oh, hell yeah. If not 70.
I thought you were going to say it was like 80 or 90.
No, I've often said 50% of the country is just pure stupid, so why bother? But, 60 is probably a closer number.
Yeah, it sucks, but it's just the truth. But the thing is, when we do this Facebook and Twitter and Snappy, whatever it is, and all this stuff, we're trying to get all these people to love you when the truth is, nobody gives a shit about you. Nobody cares about your Snapchat or your Twitter or your Facebook. If you help people and bring value to them in their life as a writer, right? If that's what most people here do, then bring value and you're going to find people that will like you and then build with them and they will tell other people. I got to tell you, my business grows. It's international. We're all over the world. And, we have a few thousand members or 3,000 plus members that pay $30 a month. You can do the math. And then I have, my mastermind people pay $20,000 a month. Or $20,000 a year to be in that. We have 25.
I should say $20,000 a month. Holy shit!
Yeah, I'm in the wrong business, right? So we have that group, and it's a nice, cool business model. But at the end of the day, I've just the way we're growing is I do the internet stuff. We got 145,000 people on Facebook. Yes, we do that stuff. But where we really grow is somebody saying, "Hey, this guy's pretty cool. You should check out the stuff he does." That's how we grow. It's not even internet based. And I think so many people spend a lot of time on the internet without building the tribe. And I use this. I'm not religious, so don't take this the wrong way. But I say, look, Jesus built the biggest business in the world, Christianity, right? And he built it with a bestseller and 12 people. This is the Last Supper, right? So focus on getting your 12 and write a good book and you'll be fine.
I've never heard that said before, but awesome. Yeah, it really is.
It's how one of them did betray him.
Yeah, exactly. He even had somebody that betrayed him. Just like he had a hater. He wore sandals. I had long hair for the longest time. I just cut it. But, that's my model. It works. I mean, it's just get those 12 people around you. Quit trying to get millions. Quit trying to, please the person at Walmart. And it works. Like, it really works. And just be real, be authentic. And if you're like that, people will like you. It's the craziest thing. And guess what? Other people won't like you, and that's cool. Just tell them to fuck off and stick with the people that like you.
But that's the thing. You have to be unafraid of both making mistakes and alienating people, because who cares? It's, we talked about this a bunch of times. You are not your art. You put out what you put out into the world, and you just have to do it for yourself and for your core audience. And if it doesn't resonate with other people, then fuck it. It just so does not matter.
I mean, what made Warhol? Think about it. A soup can. You know what I mean? I mean, what made Warhol? It's like, is it pop culture? Is it what? I think it was just putting your art out there and not really worrying about what anybody else thinks, and really being so dedicated and passionate to it that that it eventually starts to work for you. But that takes time, patience, and work.
It
So
takes
what's
the
the
courage
secret?
to be yourself.
So what's the secret to okay, so I don't know if you've heard Tony Robbins' definition of an entrepreneur, being a motivational guy, maybe you do, but I like this. I've said it before. He said that his definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who can make enough money with the successes, his few successes, to pay for all his mistakes. And I totally believe that. So there's making mistakes and fucking up and then ruining yourself. And then there's making mistakes in sort of the correct ratio and learning the correct lessons, that it's a propellant. So how do we figure out what that is?
Well, I think personally, if people that are writing and trying to build a lifestyle design business, which is what I teach, I love that definition, by the way, but I think it goes a step further. I think you have to control your quality of life, get it to a place where your bills aren't so high, and then figure out how to generate $3,000 to $5,000 of residual income that will create freedom for you. I think that's the secret of an entrepreneur. I believe that, and I think this is the best time in life to do it. And writers can do that, but it's controlling that debt and getting your lifestyle in a place where that you can get that nut covered, and then build, and then you can make as many mistakes as you want because you've got some coverage. Does that make sense? And that's what I believe in more than anything. I think people need to get their nut balance down as low as possible, get rid of the Mercedes or all that shit, just get yourself down to the minimum, cover those expenses. Then you can screw up a lot. And that's where, how I finally got to is like, fuck, I can fuck up all the time. And it's good because I need to mess up.
So do you have a threshold? Like, will you pull back? Like, if you find yourself making too many mistakes in a row, will you pull back and play it safe, or will you just double down?
I'm a gambler. I double down. I day trade. So I'm one of those guys. So it's like, let's just keep going. I mean, put another, that didn't, and my team hates me because I'll tell them, this isn't working, cut it off. And they're like, 20 people signed up. And I'm like, just refund them. And they're like, what are you doing? You can't do that. And I'm like, yeah, it's not working. There's no conversions. Get rid of that program. Let's build another one. But I'm a guy that, I've figured out how I can build 3 courses in 2 weeks, and I've learned how to do that. I've figured out how to put out tremendous amounts of content. I've done 2,700 podcasts. I don't even know how many. And then, build all these courses and wrote 4 books and, blah, blah, blah. But the key is, I've figured out how to generate a lot of content and then package it properly. And if something's not working, cut the losses and move on. And that's a big part of what you got to do. A lot of people don't want to do that. And the other thing I'll tell you that's really key, and this is important for everybody, is before you sell, I would say don't create before you sell. I would sell before you create. And that's hard for a lot of people because I can't tell you how many programs I've built and then try to sell it. And then the shit doesn't work. And I'm backpedaling like, God, I spent a month on this thing and now it's not working. So sell before you create, if that makes sense.
Well, how would you apply that to writers, though? I mean, not nonfiction, but like a fiction writer. How do you sell something before you create it to an audience that might not even be there yet?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I think you'd obviously have to at least create your first episodic version, right? At least get something rolling with it. That would be my thought process. At least get something selling where before you put your whole life into it. But again, it's almost it's like it's one of those conundrums, right? It's like you have to write it. You have to put your heart and soul into it. And if it doesn't work, that's a writer, right? I mean,
well, if it's sell before you create is like the right to market ethos. Like Chris Fox wrote that book, Right to Market. Invasion was something where we kind of wanted to write that to market, right? We knew who we were selling that to before we wrote it, where most of our projects, we write the project and then we sell it. So I think there is an apt comparison here.
Well, yeah, and I think Andy Weir did that with The Martian. He was writing it for free on his blog and had so much, love from the audience and stuff that he was able to turn that into a huge success.
Well, if you have a tribe, you can try a lot of things. And I think that's the big thing is build your followers and trust them and love them and throw stuff out to them. And then you'll kind of know as a writer, you know that this is going to float or this isn't going to float. And then you can create from there. That's what I think personally. Personally, I built a business with so many legs. Writing's just one of the table legs for me. And it works well. But what, the other stuff really builds my business, my subscription model, my events. That's just in my world.
Yeah, Kevin Tomlinson says, you could, for example, write short stories and offer them for free on your blog to see if your readers like that type of story, then go on to write the book.
Yeah.
I just think it's important that you create before you get too, I mean, you sell before you create. I've just run into that a lot, and that's failing with the sales process instead of failing with the creation process, if that makes any sense at all, because you know that you're putting it out there before you do all the work. I mean, like I said, I've spent months and months and months on programs, and then they don't sell, and it's like, shit, why did I spend all that time on that?
So how do you gauge interest for your products from your audience to find out, what they're willing to buy or what they're not? How do you do that?
Oh, I got $1 million one for you, David. This is really good. You guys are going to like this. Okay. So what I do is I send out an email, and I just do a gangster email. Hey, if you had 5 minutes to sit down with me with a cup of coffee or tea, what would you ask me? And you just put reply in there. And I say, and if I use anything with a survey thing, what I'll do is once I get all that back, then I'll resurvey the audience by saying, okay, these are the 10 things people said were most important to them. What 10 do you do? So it's like a 2-step survey. One is it's just an open-ended text. Hey, if you had 5 minutes to spend with me, a cup of coffee or tea, what would you ask me? You would be surprised at what you get. Okay.
So you find out the pain points that your audience has with
that. Pain or interest, or what I mean? Just what is really coming up for them. And pain is normally, Dave, that's a great point, but you get so much data from that. It's a big thing. Once you get that data, it's like, okay, and what I do in my programs is I literally take the copy points that they sent me, and I throw them back into my product copy, because it's like somebody says, oh, I got too many irons in the fire. Damn, that's an awesome one. That's going to be a video in the course. So I just throw their copy back at my audience because they asked for it. So I just give it right back to them. So start with that survey, then break it down into a smaller survey. And one of the secrets that I like to do with the survey is once I have the 10 main points, and I'm surveying to get 2 or 3 to figure out what the project's going to be about, whether it's a book or a course or whatever. Once I get those 10 points, I'll actually put in the bottom of it, please put your phone number. And people that put their phone number, we put a lot of weight on that because they're actually thinking you're going to call them about the issue, right? So even that's like a 10 on that one. So you take that data back and you say, okay, this is what I'm going to write about, or this is what I'm going to build a course about, because people are asking you for it. And you don't need a ton of people. You just need enough data that says, okay, this is the direction I'm going to go next.
Well, we just sold Story Shop. But it doesn't exist, right? We sold the idea and the interest. So it wasn't just the people who actually funded the Kickstarter, but thanks, JB. I know you did.
I did.
But it was the whole idea that wouldn't exist if we didn't pre-sell it. It was a very expensive project, and there's no way we could build it without getting that funding, but also we needed to know that there was an interest there, because if there's not, then why build it? It's just way too expensive for us to use just by ourselves. And so pre-selling it made absolute sense in that context. And I think that it doesn't matter if you're selling software or courses or anything. The takeaway here is figure out, if you can afford to just write whatever, awesome, or do whatever, awesome. But if you are trying to really build your career and each movement matters, then gauging audience interest or potential market interest, if you don't have an audience, is a smart way to go about it.
Well, I think. Go ahead, Dave.
I'm sorry. Chrissy Moss says, by sell, it sounds like he means creating hype for the service, item, or company, not necessarily getting the money for the item before it exists, right?
Yeah, you're going to fail, right? So you want to fail at that process before creation. That's a great point. So yeah, you're just seeing if the market is going to accept it instead of building or writing everything. And then all of a sudden now the market doesn't take that. Now there is an exception here. Like if you don't have any audience,
like your $40,000 in vanity books, right?
Yeah. In vanity books. Yeah. Oh, and I spent an extra $2,000 to get the 50 signed so I could sell those for more, by the way, but that's my intelligence level.
Good move.
Yeah, it was really smart.
Wait, you spent extra to get them signed, and they were signed by you?
No. He put a little
wrong direction there.
Yeah, no, he put a layout sheet in there, like a sheet, so it said, "Oh, this is number 1." Or no. When literally I didn't have an audience, like nobody knew who I was, and I thought I was going to sell $40,000 of books in a weekend. Literally, that was my mind. You talk about banking in your head and being, really losing.
But you have to be irrational like that. I think that's successful. I think that's a trait that most successful people feel. They don't. The possibility of failure doesn't occur to you in the way it would to a quote unquote normal person. Like I get told I'm irrational, and that's a stupidly optimistic belief all the time.
Yeah, like, Dave would have said, "Can I just order 4?"
And Dave should have been
that's way too many.
Yeah, when the semi pulled up with the books, I about shit my pants. I was like, me and my wife had to unload them. It was ridiculous. But you're right. I totally had a rational idea that I could sell. I mean, and you guys don't know the whole story, but the printing was all off. They printed like the third edit before the end edit, so it was just a joke. I mean, so we went to an event, and I had to speak at that event. So we literally made little Post-it notes like, we'll send you a revised edition when we get them in, and we did like 1,000 of them, and I took them to the event. We sold
more money.
Yeah, it was just insane. And the thing is just going back to the idea that I wish I would have focused on getting my life a little structured better, like in getting some income coming in and structuring it, because I quit my job. That was another irrational thing. Like, told my wife, don't worry, I'm going to sell all these books. And, I'm banking my head. We spent $10 a piece. We're going to sell them for 24. That's 15 times 4,000. I'll sell those this weekend.
God bless all of our wives.
Yeah, no kidding.
My wife would have murdered me.
Yeah, we had some of those nights, but at the end of the day, it was, I wish I would have structured my life. The lesson was to structure your life a little bit better, get yourself a little bit out of debt, and then you can do all kinds of fun stuff. Because that's what I do. I mean, I did fun stuff like signing with Hay House, which was, I'm going to find out May 3rd if that was a mistake or not. It's been what an experience. I don't even know what the book's about anymore because I wrote it so long ago. But.
Yeah, and this was like, I mean, you've had this book in production the entire 2 years I've known you, right?
Yeah. It's been a while. And I just got some galleys in, which is amazing. But we'll see. I'm anxious. I've never went the publishing route, and so we'll see how this goes. I'm doing it more for the their audience to see. So this could be a failure or success. We'll see.
Well, good luck, man.
So we should, we're about out of time, so we need to wrap it up. But I would just add, maybe as a final point here, I think that failure is relative to your expectations and your goals for a particular venture. I think most people would agree. Well, a lot of people wouldn't agree, actually, that you really, like, there are easier ways to get rich than being a writer. Like if you don't love it for the writing, then kind of go do something else, I think. And if your goal is to enjoy, to live your passion and create your art, like you kind of can't fail. It's only when you stake everything on it, and then it feels like more of a failure than it otherwise.
It's knowing your why. It's doing things for the right reasons. JB, before we go, do you want to plug your book? I don't think you gave the name of it.
No, it's all right. Sacred Six. It's going to be out there and around, but yeah, we'll see how it does. Sacred Six is the name of the book. It'll be fun. But no, I just want to agree with that. I think the most important thing is not do things for significance. I see so many people doing things for significance, so many people doing things for money. If you can get the basics taken care of and not worry about the significance, you can be tremendously successful. I mean, it's unbelievable what will happen if you can just stop worrying about what everybody else thinks.
So we'll stop here. This has been Self-Publishing Podcast. Thank you, JB, for being on. Can't wait to hang out in person eventually at the summit. We're going to see you then. I was thinking of later. So that's great. And anybody coming, we'll also get to meet JB along with the trio of us. So
it's going to be a blast.
So thanks everybody for listening. And this has been the Self-Publishing Podcast, and we'll see you next time.